Today, I have the privilege to interview Anton from Cloudstream Digital. Anton, welcome to the Strategy Maker Podcast.
Thank you, Johnny. It's a pleasure being here.
I was looking for someone specifically in the digital field and domain. I think you are absolutely the right person to interview today. So you are a solopreneur and have an exciting digital agency, and you service different customers in various industry. Like they say, variety is the spice of life. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us more about yourself and your background.
Yeah, so I've been kind of an entrepreneur all my life. And in 2018, I was searching the internet all over for various ways generating business. And that's when I realized that digital marketing is a real thing and also an opportunity. And that is when I started venturing into this industry. And I engaged in a few training programs that I could find online. And shortly after I finished my training, I jumped into it and left my previous life, if you like. And now I'm fully into the digital life and the digital online business. But that also evolves constantly. It's never the same, and what counts for today doesn't necessarily count for tomorrow. So it's an interesting industry to be in.
Yeah, ever evolving and at the pace of light. So, but let's take a few steps back. Where have you been to school? Where did you grow up? Other business endeavors before this one?
Yeah, so I went to a boarding school, the Hoërskool Wagvos. It's an Afrikaans boarding school. At the time, it was a boys-only school. And you can just imagine a couple of boys in a boarding school environment is moeilijkheid. It's only trouble, but it was wonderful. After that, I actually got a bursary to study agriculture, because it was an agriculture, or still is an agriculture school.
Okay.
And I did not even finish 1 year. I realized that's not for me. And I started in the security industry. I ended up having my own company in the security industry, which I sold and then jumped into the digital marketing world.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you kind of work through an industry like security, and now you're on the digital side, and you realize how important digital even is in the security industry. So there's no industry, according to me, exempt from any digital footprint or anything. But we will get into that. You're currently living in Pretoria.
Yeah, so all my life I've been in Pretoria, and I'll probably stay here. It's a lovely, I think personally, Pretoria is one of the towns where the weather is the best. And it's interesting, my parents who came from Europe, and they've been all over the world, they reckon this is the best weather, because it's you know what it's going to be, and you can bank on the weather. So
the forecast in Pretoria is spot on. You can trust
I think
it.
so.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the digital agency that you're currently running. Tell me about the digital industry. How are things developing in South Africa, globally? Interesting trends we need to know about.
Yeah, so the digital marketing industry is vast, and there's so many divisions, if you like, and different fields within the industry that you can literally get lost in it.
Mm.
And initially, I had an approach of doing everything and trying to service customers with everything, which is not really, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, that's not something I would recommend. I think rather choose your field, even a niche if you like, and then focus on that. If it's a large agency with multiple divisions and multiple people working there, then obviously you'll have your different specialists. The other thing about the digital marketing industry is what's true today is not necessarily true tomorrow. And it's an ever-changing landscape. You must have the mindset of learning all the time. And especially your biggest social media platforms, if you use that to get traffic, they are ever changing. The algorithms are ever changing. And it's definitely not a switch on automation sort of scenario, which I thought is going to were the case at the start, and I quickly realized that's not how it works. So it's an ever-changing environment, and I think also in this specific industry there are always someone who knows better, and I think try to identify people who you are comfortable with, and then soundboard with them, learn from them, even if it's someone you don't know. It can be someone from overseas. Just follow them and learn from them, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, the point is quite big that we are swimming in the digital world. But if you say something or use the term niche, do you refer to a service a niche market, so or industry, so for instance security, or do you think are you talking about being a niche service provider? So for instance, I'm only doing websites, I'm only doing SEO, I'm only a copywriter, or is it a bit of both?
I think it's a bit of both. Well, it's something you have to be comfortable yourself, and I think the main thing is you need to know yourself, and once you establish that, well, the whole know yourself thing is a separate discussion on its own. But once you understand what you like and which area of the industry you would like to work with, I would say focus on a specific service and also a specific niche, if that's possible. It's not always possible, but I think it's the best way to find a niche, because then you can excel in something specific.
So tell me, what is your current service offering and what's your focus?
At this stage, we are I would call it a boutique kind of digital marketing agency. We try not to do everything for a company. We would focus specifically, let's say, on lead generation, and we would do just that for a specific company. Or we would do, we offer website building services, and that normally comes with when you offer lead generation, because you need to build pages that drives traffic. So at this stage, we are, like I said, we are focusing on lead generation. And the irony of this is that bigger companies who's got the budget for it, that's easy to work with them, but most of the companies don't have a proper marketing budget. And the irony is that they need the service the most.
Yeah.
And that's, so we are sort of in a process of identifying a niche, servicing those companies. And we have our own software, Cloudstream Funnels, which is a software where you can build your own website, you can build your own marketing funnels. It's got an email campaign software built in. It's got an online store built in. It's got a CRM built in. And we then provide value by a learning portal, which we just launched a while ago. And within that learning portal, we have a free course on how to use the software. We've got Facebook courses. We've got a Google Ads course. We've got a Messenger bot course. And that's all tools you need to drive traffic to your site. So that is obviously services that we offer, but there are so many companies out there that can't afford a service. You know, a proper marketing budget should be anything between 30 and 60,000 Rand a month. And if you don't have that kind of budget, I would recommend try the DIY route, and we can support you going that way.
If you say between 40 and 60, does that include your ad spend as well as your service, or exclude the ad spend?
That includes the ad spend. Obviously, you can, and that's enough to get good traction. But companies are known to spend 200, 300, even 600,000 Rand on ad spend. It depends on the size of the company, depends what type of products you have, depends on what, you know, your market share, are you national or just local? It all depends. But to get good traction in a social media industry, anything between 30 and 60,000 should be in your budget. Otherwise, you're in for DIY.
And I think it is actually becoming more and more problematic for companies to juggle between the conventional marketing options like your billboards or adverts in printed media or on radio, but to include your digital marketing budget as well, and then to start trusting the digital process, because a lot of people feel after 3 months this is not viable, we're gonna stop with it. And my experience is you only get traction after 3, 6 months and even 12 months, because you have to optimize your website and all of that. But before we dive in too deep, I want to take a step back and ask you to help us understand where, just a broad overview of where does funnels fit into the whole spectrum between your website and your social pages?
So I think everybody knows what a website is and how it looks. So a website is an online presence, and you can literally get lost on a website. There's so many buttons, so many navigation options. So a funnel is really a process, okay? And within the funnel could be, for example, an ad, and that can be on any social platform out there. It can be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google, whatever. So an ad would run on one of those platforms, or multiple ads on multiple platforms, that drives traffic to a landing page. So in this context, we talk about funnels as the landing page, although a funnel is a process. But so the landing page, see it as a pamphlet of your store. So imagine you walking in a shopping center and you walk into a store. There are so many options, and you can pick this up and look at this, and you can get lost, and you can forget why you're there. So with a landing page, it's like getting a pamphlet, and that pamphlet only describes a specific product, a specific special, with a specific call to action. So, and it specifically talks to a specific person also. So if you are looking for a very specific product, that pamphlet would address that pain point. And it tell you, listen, we've got this product at this price, and this is what you need to do to get it. So, and that's what we do online as well. So think of it as a pamphlet that we're handing out. So when you, from the ad, you get on the landing page. On the landing page, we talk about that very specific product, and we've got a call to action. It's like, leave your details here. In return, we will email you 10 tips on this product or on this, on the outcome of what you're looking at. And so that's how you generate leads, by using a funnel. Although it's a process, but it's, in this context, it's a landing page. And once you've got the lead, now you've got someone who's interested in your specific product. So that lead will then be populated within the software, and you can follow up. You can have automated follow-ups with emails, maybe a bot or SMS. There's multiple ways of following up, but the good old phone call, in my opinion, is the best. So your leads get populated, automated emails immediately out, which is a good thing. But don't forget the physical follow-up phone call, because that's how you close the business while it's hot.
So you actually run an ad on your social media platform, and that obviously that's where the ad spend comes in. So
yes,
we know all these platforms loves money. So if you have a really decent ad spend, your ad will obviously optimize quicker and you will get the right audience. So I see your ad, I click on the call to action, which can be sign up, learn more, call now, or whatever. And then you go into the background software, the landing page that will, where you can populate or give your contact details, and then you will follow up. I think the main thing for me is for people to realize that it's not as easy as a click or a magical one that you wave. You're still competing out there big time. It's a huge competitive world now, because you're swimming in the global pool. And for people to realize that the conversion actually lies within what you call the good old phone call. And that's up to you as business owner to convert your, because you want to attract the right customer, and you want to build a relationship with them over time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can automate most of it. Actually, you can automate everything, but physical, well, not physical, but contact via a telephone is, in my opinion, the best way, because it starts building a proper relationship, and that person then also feels, okay, this is real, the product is real, the service is real, there's people behind it. So you can fake that a bit with bots, and bots can be there's different software out there, and you can have bots on there's even bot software for LinkedIn. But the actual phone call is the best. People want to know there's a voice behind it.
Yeah, no, I think that is the personal touch is still out there, specifically for the South African market. We are still kind of, and I think it's part of our culture that we are doing business on a personal level. People buy from people.
And that's, Yanni, that's the other thing is most of, let's call them gurus on the internet, most of them are from America. To me, they sound like car horns, just blah, blah, blah all the time. But the thing is, there are some truth in what they say, but they mainly speak for an American audience. And the American audience are I think, a little bit more gullible. And it's easier to sell. They are easier to sell to, where the South African audience are more conservative. And I think the South African audience are looking for more authenticity. And that's why the physical follow-up is definitely something I would recommend, especially in the South African market.
Yeah, I agree. Are you willing to discuss retainer cost with us? Just a ballpark figure. If I'm a company with say around 5 million turnover, a small medium enterprise 5 million turnover, what kind of retainer are we looking at?
Anything between 10 and 15,000 for a company like that. A bigger corporate would be even up to 30. But it also depends on what you do. But for a smaller company with a annual turnover of, let's say, 5 million, 10 or 15 will do. But we'll also focus on one specific thing. We won't do Facebook, Instagram, Google, LinkedIn. It's impossible to run all those campaigns for a small fee like that. The work behind it is enormous, and it's not an automated process. You don't build these campaigns and then it's on autopilot. It's not the case. So it's a constant thing, and it's a time-consuming process to run campaigns. And these campaigns are like children. Once it's running, everything is beautiful, and the next moment it's chaos. And so it's something you need to monitor all the time. And you can automate a lot of the processes, but you still need to be there. You have to keep your hands on it. So yeah, 5 million and under, 10 to 15,000. Bigger company where we can run multiple campaigns at once, up to 30. And then it depends what you do. The moment you start with printed media or video, then it's a whole different ballgame, and then it goes up quickly.
Yeah.
But digital marketing and campaigns, that's more or less the ballpark. Yeah.
And for the smaller, even startup and the small business?
That's the problem. I've got a huge soft spot in my heart for the smaller startups, because I've been there myself a couple of times. The thing is, you need the service the most, but you really don't have the budget for it, and also you don't really have the time to figure out how everything works and what goes where. And like I said previously, we've got a solution for that. I've put together a roadmap, and the roadmap is like, start here, do this. This is the next step. This is the next step. And once you know that and where to hook on different processes, then you understand the process, and then you know what to do. And we've got all the tools for you then to hook onto that roadmap. And so we've got our own software, Cloudstream Funnels, which is an online platform where you can build your website, you can build your landing page, you can build an email campaign, you can, it's got a built-in CRM, so all the contacts that you do generate, you can manage them from there. It's got an online store. It's integrated with all the major payment platforms already. And if you want to do complicated CRM systems and follow-up systems, it integrates with ActiveCampaign, which is the Rolls-Royce of CRM systems. And It's all natively integrated. And we've got on our platform, we even have a learning portal where you can learn how to use the software. And then we have Facebook courses. We've got Google Ads course. We've got a Facebook bot course,
Wow.
all included. Yeah, and that's all the tools you need if you need to get online traction. And then we also give you support because our software is subscription based. So we give you guidance. Although the subscription is not like a 24/7 sit next to you kind of support. It's we are there when you don't know what to do. But what's nice about this whole approach is you will maybe realize you don't know how to build a website. Then we quote you just for the website and we build the website for you. So it's like small amounts you can spend over time, and you can in the process learn yourself how it works, and you can carry on. And that, I think, is a excellent way of supporting small and medium enterprises.
But I so yes, I so often see that specifically solopreneurs like you and myself, we struggle to find time to market our businesses because you do execution, you do follow-up calls, you produce. So by the end of the month, a new month comes and you see, oh, there's no new business on the books, and then you start marketing. So it must actually be something that's running in the background that you can oversee, but that's in kind of automated. So I also tell a lot of my customers that at least you must get familiar with digital marketing terms. You don't need to be able to install a Facebook pixel, but you must understand why do you need it and why must it be activated, and find that person who can help you with those processes. Otherwise, you're literally throwing money into the Facebook big pool, even bigger pool, getting bigger by the moment. So
I've spent a lot of money on Facebook that just sort of disappear in the vastness of the digital world. So I would recommend anybody who's dabbling with Facebook or understands the value of Facebook marketing is at least do some training on it. And we've got the solution for you. We've got an online training for that. Just maybe one thing to add to that is, the moment that course is launched, Facebook evolves. So the interface that you would see on the course and the interface on Facebook will always differ. So we try to update that course regularly. But
sorry, I just want to switch off my phone. I forgot to do that. So you started your business. Did you sit down and decide on a specific business model that you want to follow? Have you compiled a strategy for yourself, or is it an evolving process? What is your business process?
I think any strategy is an evolving process, but I did not necessarily follow the book, and I just jumped into it and tried to service everybody, and then realized that's not the way. So then I went back to the drawing board and then draw up a strategy. And I think you need to have a clear plan, and you have to be honest with yourself. I'm a bit optimistic, so I would put milestones down that's not necessarily achievable. So I've learned myself now that so I've got a sort of a roadmap where I want to be in 5 years from now, and I draw that, and then once I've done that, then I halve everything, because then it becomes a little bit more realistic. But I think everybody needs a strategy, and a strategy should suit your personality, because your next door neighbor who might be doing the same thing as you is a complete different person, and he might reach certain milestones before you, and then you might get discouraged. So the very first thing is know yourself. And once you know and understand yourself, I would recommend to read a book by Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's a neuroscientist.
South African.
Yes. I think she lives in America, but she is South African.
Yeah.
I've got a few books of her, and I follow her podcasts and everything. And the main lesson that I've learned from her is that your brain is, or the concept of neuroplasticity, meaning who you are today shouldn't be, or it's not necessary to be that person tomorrow. You can change. So once you understand your personality type, then you can say, okay, my personality type would excel in this, but fail in this, and would struggle in this. And then around that, you can position your strategy. But the main thing that I've learned is that you are not a captive by your personality. You can better yourself, or you can grow in certain areas. And once you know that, or understand that, I think it's a kind of a freedom that you're not, your personality doesn't hold you captive into certain things. And I think you must overcome that first. And once you overcome that, then you can do your strategy. And then you do a roadmap. And then you say, okay, I want to reach. So you've got like a short term, and the short term is, can be simple things like, I want this and that client. And then on the medium term is, I want this turnover. And the long term is, I want to sell the business in 5 years' time, or I want the business to be worth this. You need those milestones, because that's what then drives you. So the question is, do you have a strategy? Yes, I have. Do I rigidly follow it? No. But I have a broad line of where I want to be. And if it takes a year longer, it's not the end of the world. I think, enjoy life while you're working as well,
While you're building the business. Yeah, I think that I like what you said about the personality, because obviously if we are true to ourselves, we are solopreneurs because of our personalities. Me, for instance, I had to go through corporate life to obviously get exposed and gain a lot of skills that I didn't have previously, because I was an entrepreneur, then went into corporate and went back. So the combination of all these things put me where I am today. And I think but the main reason I'm here today is because of my personality. I'm not the corporate animal. So therefore, I need to have something that really energizes me. And this is the spot that I now realize that I never want to be in any other situation again. So fortunately, we can start building our businesses and obviously have the vision for the future. For me, strategy is ever evolving, ever revisiting, because the world change and the market around you change, and you change. You've got new needs, and your business and your customers change because of the pandemic that happened. So we need to be adjustable in a huge. We must be flexible in such an extensive way these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so tell me, what do you struggle with in business? What aspect of the business you really keep till last? I don't want to do it today, I'll do it tomorrow or never. Or what is that part of your business that you avoid?
SARS.
Obviously.
Paperwork. I don't think I'm naturally inclined towards it, but I had to learn it. And today I've got Excel forms and processes and things in place. And what I've done is I've learned new habits. And so it's getting better, but it's still not the thing that excites me. So, that's paperwork is something that I'll outsource, bookkeeping and so forth. It's outsourced because it really doesn't excite me. Obviously, when you start out, you have to do everything, but that's one of the first things that you. So I'm more a salesperson than a operator. So the next thing that I'll not necessarily will outsource, but I'll get someone on board to assist me with building websites and funnels and so forth. I'm more a strategist and a salesperson. So my mind is most of the time 3, 4, 5 years ahead of where are we going, and constantly looking out to where we are going, which direction we are going. The problem with that is I have to call myself back to the reality. These 5 things need to get done today. So that's like, okay, I'll do it. So that's what I struggle with is the here and now. I think I'm a bit of a dreamer, and that is good for strategy and putting a business together. So, and if you look at my career history, I've started several companies because I think that is what I do. And then we build it up, and then we either sell it or keep it, or it sounds glamorous, but it's not necessarily always glamorous. So starting a business, that doesn't mean the till starts ringing. It's unfortunately not the case. So some of my ventures never worked, but that's how you learn and that's how you try. So
I think that's part of the entrepreneurial spirit, is that you are willing to obviously totally fail, and then get yourself back on your feet and then move on to the next thing. Because, and I'm guessing now you are a creative mind as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So, but just getting back to failing, I've changed my attitude towards failing. I think in a South African culture, it's if you fail, it's a disaster, but it's not. It's a learning opportunity. So I would rather say fail forward. So fail today, and that's what I teach my kids as well. I ask them, go and do this. Then they'll tell me, but they don't know how. Then I'll just tell them, make mistakes. Go and make mistakes. And then I leave them. Then they make a complete disaster out of it, but that's good.
Yeah.
Because now they've learned.
That's the whole thing of allowing yourself to make a mistake and to forgive yourself for the mistake, and then obviously learn from it again. And the next time will be better. I mean, that's life. That's what you need to do.
That's the other day, my oldest, so my children are still small, but the oldest, or the eldest, she wanted to bake a cake. I said, great. So we go to the shop, we buy everything we need. And I told her, okay, bake. But she doesn't know how. I said, oh, doesn't matter. Bake. And it was a complete disaster. The kitchen was a disaster. Everything was a disaster. But that's good.
That's creative. That's where creativity starts, because you are allowed to make the mess.
Yeah,
to bake a distasteful cake and then for everybody to laugh about it and say, remember that time, because that's also how you make memories. And I think to build a
absolutely.
business is to make memories.
Yeah,
There's so
yeah,
many stories, and this is what my podcast is all about, is to hear those stories, because it's not all glamorous, but it's also not all doom and gloom. It
yeah,
is something has happened to me, and then the next thing has happened to me, and then I fell back, and then I rebuilt, and the trial and error of life. So yes, that's for me the most exciting part of being an entrepreneur. But having said all of that, have you ever walked away from business? How important is business ethics to you?
yeah. That's an interesting question. So I think, um, and I think it's part of the personality thing, and knowing yourself is also you need to know what you're comfortable with, and that can be on a spiritual level, it can be on a religious level, it can be whatever your inclination is towards that. Is you must understand what you are comfortable with, and you must mentally draw the line in your head before you are confronted by it. Because if you're confronted by something that doesn't fall into your, let's call it, moral self or moral structure, then it will be difficult to say no. But if you've got the mental barriers already set, then it's much easier to identify something that you're not comfortable with. So in my case, and I'm not saying that I'm doing everything right, and I'm also not saying that I have done everything right in the past. But what I can say and will say is that I try to maintain a good moral business ethic. And the moment I feel that a business deal or a business opportunity doesn't fall within that moral value set, if you like, then I would walk away from it. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's the same for
Again,
customers. You must find the customer that suits you and you suit them. It's that link that you need to establish. Not all
yeah,
customers are meant to be your customer.
absolutely. And I made the mistake of taking, because I had many customers that were willing to make use of my services, and I took them all on. And some customers just makes you uncomfortable. It's not that they do something wrong or that I think it's just, and it's exactly what you're saying, it's and this is something that's true for every individual person, is not all customers are equal from your personal worldview and personal perspective. And I think you need to be honest with yourself. What makes you comfortable, and does the person who you do business with, do they or him or her makes you uncomfortable or comfortable? And that is something you must be aware of, and then make your decisions according to that. Because if you engage with someone who's got an uncomfortable air around them, I can tell you now that your service is also going to be uncomfortable. It's just so know when to say no. Is that the
I
right way to
agree
say
with
it?
you. But
Yeah.
now I want to hear, tell me, obviously you've got some success stories. Tell me about interesting projects that you've done and the success behind it.
Yeah, so I've got a few, but I'd like to point out two. So the first one I would like to point out is it's a guy who speaks just over 10 languages. I think you call a person like that a polyglot. They speak multiple languages. So he speaks almost all the South African official languages. And then on top of that, he speaks Hebrew, a little bit of Latin, Russian, and obviously a few other languages where he knows a couple of words or phrases or whatever. But this particular guy, I think he's got his honors in Zulu, and he speaks Zulu more fluent than other Zulu people. And he also understands the nuances. So I think one of there was a delegation that had to discuss something with the Zulu king, but it was a few years ago. So that particular king now passed away. But so they took him with because he understands the nuances and the as he refers to it, he understands the mother tongue of the Zulu. But anyway, so when I engaged with him, and because he started to give Zulu lessons from home, so he had people coming over, let's say every Wednesday night and on a Saturday morning, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when I saw that and I saw the potential in this guy, I told him, I think you need to scale and I can help you. And so we started discussing, different options, and we ended up, I drove him that he sort of formalized his training, his Zulu training course, into a 16-week online course. And so the Zulu course now lives in the cloud, and you can buy that online. And the moment you buy that, you then have access to that Zulu training, and you can then follow the 16 weeks and then learn to speak Zulu. And we are busy preparing, and that's isiZulu 101. We are busy preparing isiZulu 201, and later we're going to do 301 as well. But anyway, and I told him, listen, if that Zulu course lives in the cloud, we can start to sell it online. And unfortunately, he didn't had cash flow at the time. So I had to convince him to go and borrow some money. I believed in the opportunity so much that I've built everything for free. I'll never do that again because it's more work than you think it is. But I've built everything for free. And then I told him, listen, go and borrow money that we can start to market this thing online. So he borrowed money from his parents. And I think in that first month, we spent, 40,000 Rand on Facebook. And after that, it was just a success from day one. That first month, I think we banked just over 80,000, and it climbed and climbed. And it's a constant thing. We bank about just over 100,000 every month. Obviously, there are months that it's a little bit less, a little bit more. But I would say an average would be just over 80,000 a month. And he now makes a living from it. And
wow.
Yeah, it's a success story. But I can tell you one thing, to keep a campaign running like that, we are constantly changing copy, constantly changing how the ad looks and what
visuals.
And yeah, and the process is, so we've got a funnel, we've got a Facebook ad, and then the funnel has got multiple levels. So if you on the first page leave your details, then there's what we call a thank you page, where then there's a video uploaded there, and then he says thank you, and then we sort of upsell by saying if you can get a little bit more discount if you action now. So then it takes you to another page, and then you get a little bit of discount, and then we drive you to a pay fast page where you can pay for the course, and everything is automated and everything happens online. So so he can sit with his hands folded like this and money would come in, but because he's dedicated, he actually follows up on the leads. So, and that's why it's such a success, because he follows up personally. So although there are automated emails going out, he also sends an email. He WhatsApp you and he would call you. So it's a lot of work, but it works. And just out of something interesting to notice is he's busy building a course or developing a course, the course language would be Zulu, but you learn to speak Afrikaans, but in Zulu. Yeah, so it's focused on the Zulu nation to speak Afrikaans.
And
but it's
the
not,
initial course, sorry to interrupt, in the initial course, is that Afrikaans Zulu or is it English Zulu?
English
Zulu, okay.
Yeah. And this Afrikaans course is going to be very interesting because he focuses a lot on the South African or the white African culture, and why we say things what we say and why we think about things the way we think. So it's not just learning the language, it's also learning why we do what we do and why we do it.
Yeah, because
so
language is so embedded in culture and so nuanced that you need to have all the other, because we will say something funny and then other people will be offended with it. So you need to understand the nuanced part as well. I think he's on the right track, and that's a very exciting story. By the way, for our viewers, we are going to have all the links below of Anton's products and services, as well as the success stories to guide them to your customers and even grow their portals more. So do you have another one up your sleeve?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm a huge fan of Voetspore. So Voetspore is for those who don't know, is a travel documentary TV series, and it's a really interesting story. How I got involved with that is I remember just one afternoon I told my wife I want to get involved with Voetspore. How am I going to get this done? So obviously you start with the first obvious thing is you follow and like the Facebook page, and then this one day I saw on their Facebook page that the whole team is at their local shop here in Pretoria. I thought, okay, I've got 50% of the answer. I already have a no, but maybe I can get a yes. So I'm a 50% there. With that mindset, I said, okay, let's go. Jumped in my car, drove there. And on a previous occasion, I did meet or almost met with Johan Badenhorst, but I just didn't have the guts to walk up to him and greet him. So this time I said, okay, I'm going to do it.
Just quickly fill in our audience who Johan is.
Okay, so Johan is the expedition leader of Voetspore, Johan Badenhorst, and he started it back in 2000. The whole way they started is also a very interesting story, but back to how I started with them. So I walked up to him, and I had sort of a elevator pitch in my mind, and when I stood in front of him, I forgot everything I wanted to say. I just greeted him, and I can't even remember what I told him, but we ended up talking about YouTube and videos and the value of YouTube, and that's where Voetspore TV was born that morning, that Saturday morning. And I told him, listen, I can help you. I think I said, let's build Voetspore TV, something bold like that. And so I drove back, and they were actually on their way to one of their expeditions. So then for the next 3 months, you wouldn't see them or hear from them because they're up in Africa somewhere. So I did send them an email during that time, but nothing happened. But so when they came back, we started emailing each other, and that's where it really started. So I presented my whole idea of Voetspore TV, and I did a lot of homework on how it works, and yeah, and we signed a deal there. So I've built Voetspore TV, which is an online subscription service.
Okay,
And all
that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, so it's a membership website that I've built. I've built it on my own software. Works perfectly. We're not there yet where we'll build an app, because an app is it's a lot of development and money that will go in there. And we are of the opinion that we need enough subscribers to pay for that. So, but it's definitely on the cards to develop an app. But anyway, so we started Voetspore TV. We launched it I think in June this year, and we've got a few hundred subscribers already, and it's growing every day. You know, at least 5 or 6 subscribers per week that just comes on. And if there's anything that happens on the Facebook page, then there's more subscribers. At the moment, we don't run any campaigns for it. We are strategizing with a few ideas before we're really going to throw money at it. But yeah, so it's a subscription-based model. You pay, I think, 60 Rand a month, 63 Rand a month, and then you get access to all the expeditions. And there's another 6,000 hours of video material that they have. They have that on file.
Wow.
And we're going to dive, and we're going to dive into that, and we're going to make never seen before series out of that.
So if I sign up now, for instance, and they go on a new expedition, do they do live feeds on there, or how does it work?
We are discussing that option at the moment, no. And purely for the main reason, where they go, there are normally no internet.
Oh, yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
So they really go into the areas where, they regularly talk then on the Afrikaans radio station RSG on a Saturday morning, and sometimes even that, just a normal phone call is not possible because they are out and about. So we definitely discussed that, and it's something that it is on the books, and we are planning that, but it's not necessarily something we can stream, and we can't promise it because we don't know if there's going to be internet where they are.
Connectivity.
But the Voetspore has developed into a wonderful client for me. I ended up building all their websites. In fact, we're going to rebuild the Safari website now. I've done their online store, and that's also something that's constantly changing and developing. And just by the way, all the software, all the sites has been built on Cloudstream funnels. So it's a perfectly capable software, reliable, perfect. And then I am involved with the social media, but he's got 2 wonderful daughters that's also involved in the business, and they mainly run the social media for Voetspore, but I'm sort of on the back end of that, but I am involved with it.
Yeah, that's typically one of those South African stories that I can still remember when they started off, it was, and now it's a fully sponsored program on all the main channels, and they are household celebrities in South Africa.
Yeah, they are.
They're well known, and I think I just love the story of how their brand has developed and how well established they are now. So well done for you. Doing your stuff in the background and taking them digitally. I think that is an absolute no-brainer this time of the whole global thing. So tell me a little bit more about your future vision for for Cloudstream Digital.
So yeah, that's a good question. I personally see the future of digital marketing will get automated with software in the future, and the big um, agency fees will fall.
Oh, that's good. Good to
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Without any
I think,
riots.
yeah, I think so. And that's all going to happen with fancy software and AI software. So I see the future within Cloudstream Digital in software. So I'm driving my attention and focus towards Cloudstream Funnels, my software. Um, I'm pushing to get the software out there more. And that's why I'm working on the learning portal to equip people to understand the software and run with that. Uh, Look, agency or the agency model will never fall away, but I think more systems will get automated. And I think the space for strategists will remain, where someone like you would excel, because there are so many different platforms out there and different software and different tools, and which one should work for my company at this time. So I think with regards to your focus, that it's a good thing. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I'm focusing on selling the software, a subscription-based model and a support model. So I see Cloudstream Digital / Funnels 5 years from now. We've got a in-house support team, and we're selling software. That's the direction I'm moving.
And are you considering the international market as well?
Absolutely. The thing is, the international market is just bigger. You know, the South African economically active population, what is it? 10 million, if it's that much. Where in America, your economically active, well, their population is about 350 million, I think.
Yeah.
So meaning they economically active population should be well over 50 million, even more, I think.
Yeah, no, I think they no, even way more, because no, they've got not even close our unemployment figures. So yeah.
That's the other thing, yeah.
Sure.
So everybody is financially just. I don't want to generalize, but I think the average American financial position is way off, better off than the South African average guy. Yeah. So yeah, definitely I'll consider America and Europe, and maybe even Australia. But for the moment, I'll focus on what I know and where I'm comfortable.
Yeah, and I think the opportunity for the South African market, although it's a very small market and highly competitive in the digital agency world, still we need to convert people and sign them up to the digital space. But there's a lot of resistance still, that people doesn't trust the processes. They don't, merely because they don't understand the processes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so my software is perfectly developed and it's 100% functional, but my roadmap is something I still need to or would like to work on. You know, how to get. When I refer now to roadmap, I don't mean the roadmap on how to market your business. I mean the roadmap or the customer journey, who are my customer. That journey I need to refine and work on to make it clear from the start. This is what I sell. This is what the software will do for you. That is something I'm still working on. And that's an ever evolving.
It is.
concept.
You're never done with it. You're never done with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift into a few personal questions. You mentioned that you are a reader. So tell me about a few nice books that you can recommend to us.
Yeah, so before I answer that, I always try to read about the customers that I engage with. I'm trying to read and to understand their world. So with the guy with the Zulu course, I've got two books that I can recommend there. And the one is Indaba, My Children, which is a Zulu perspective and Zulu worldview version of the history of South Africa, which is very interesting to read. And then there's another one which is very interesting. It's a diary, a personal diary of you'll remember in the film Shaka Zulu, there was an English guy who engaged with King Shaka and he diarized everything. And I've got that diary. Now, I'm not saying what happened on the film and what's on the book is the same thing, but it's interesting. In that diary, there's actual dialogues between King Shaka and that guy. And it's very interesting to read that and the concepts and the beliefs and the thoughts and everything. So I can recommend that. I obviously have a few Voetspore books, but it's, that's travel books and it's cookbooks. I enjoy cooking. More into the marketing environment, I can really recommend, it's an American author, Donald Miller. And one of the books that really stands out is Story Branding or Story Brand. I can't show it to you because I gave the book away to someone else who I believe needs the book.
Must get it back.
That's really a book that helps you to understand how to tell your story, and not necessarily to people around you, but on your website and the marketing, how to tell your story when you market, And then I've got a few. I've got the books of Dr. Caroline Leaf. There's I think the one book is Switch on Your Brain. And I think she's got an app as well, Switch on Your Brain. So you can I think you can download the app and then read it online.
Yeah, she's on several podcasts as well as on YouTube. So I also follow her. She's quite knowledgeable, amazing new trends in that field as well.
Yeah, and then I've got a few books about the Boer War. And then I don't necessarily like storybooks. I think I might have one or two or three fiction books, but the rest is more books, factual books. How to and history. I like history, and also I've got a few books of South African authors, but like Pieter Pieterse, the guy who was.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, and that's where the Voetspore story actually started, with Pieter Pieterse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that the first initial interview? What was the very first interview? Can you remember?
What do you mean?
For Voetspore, can you remember the first travel or expedition?
Yeah, the first expedition was, I think it was after Pieter Pieterse's death, but the very first one, they were in I think it was CakeNet at the time that asked them to do a safari trip and follow the trails of the African elephant from the west coast to the east coast.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the first trip. So the first 4 trips was done via CakeNet, and then the relationship between Voetspore and CakeNet deteriorated. Is that the word? Because the actual footage is still owned by CakeNet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a problem.
And then they started negotiating with SABC2, and now they're only selling broadcasting rights, but they don't sell so the Voetspore team they own the footage, but they're only selling broadcasting rights. But that's from Expedition 5 onwards.
Okay.
So they're still in negotiation with CakeNet for Expedition 1 to 4. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay, so tell me, do you have any business icons in the digital world or South African internationally?
Yeah, I try to stay away from most of them because, you know,
from the gurus.
Because in Afrikaans, hulle is soos toeters. It's a lot of noise, and they all want to try to sell whatever they are selling. But there are a few that stands out. And while I'm now thinking of it, I'm just writing down another name that just came to mind. So the first one I would like to mention is Russell Brunson. I think he's the guy who made the whole funnel movement public, or brought it, made everybody aware of it. Another guy is Stu McLaren. He's a website member or membership website guru. So if you're looking to start a business where you sell a membership, then Stu McLaren is your guy to follow. I actually followed a few tips from him when we started Voetspore TV. And then obviously Donald Miller, telling your story. And then everything Google, no one else. Neil Patel, he's your man. He's got awesome online software. He's got tools you can use. Neil Patel is the Google man. And in Facebook, your go-to guy it's a Dutch guy, is Wilco de Crey.
I know it, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's it. And then locally, he's also a personal friend of mine, Jacques Passon from klankbank.co.za. And he's got a podcast series, and his focus is the agricultural world. I actually arranged an interview between him and Johan Badenhorst from Voetspore. And there's one podcast on there that I would like to invite you to listen. It's van Niekerk, Francois van Niekerk. I think it's podcast number 78 or 70. Just
okay, you'll give me the details, then I'll list it below the video. Then people can go and follow them. Yes, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so as far as let's say gurus, I've got a few, but I've also learned that you have to filter out the noise, because there's a lot out there, and they don't really care. They just want to sell their product, so they will tell you all kinds of things. Obviously, all these names are selling something, but they really offer value.
Yeah, I agree. I also follow a few of them, but at some stage, I just need to focus and I can't have anything else more in my ear.
Yeah.
Like we said in the very beginning, you also need to learn by making mistakes.
Mm.
And they are not where they are because they've known it all. So you
Yeah.
kind of need to navigate between all the noise. At stages I have capacity for it, but a lot of times I'm just saying, okay, shut down, start working, and tick off the list that you need to do. So I want to wrap up with you, and I'm going to give you a few what I call the rapid answer section of my interview. So I'm going to give you a word, and then you can give me only
I
one word or a short description about it.
just want to, is silence also an answer then?
Well, then you need to state silence. so so my first okay, here we go, and I'm going to mention three words: Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp.
Mark Zuckerberg. That's the word that comes up.
And
Should I say more?
well, we had the outage this week, so that's why I actually thrown it out there.
Yeah.
What is your feeling about that?
Well, they've been online for how many years? So a few hours offline. I don't think it's any harm for us, but definitely it was harm for Mark Zuckerberg. I think he lost $6 billion in the process. But I also think it's because there was a whistleblower that
Yeah, I think it's, yeah.
and I think there's a lot of dirty clothing there in the closet. But then, you know what? We shouldn't be so gullible. It's a business, and they make and um, and they should decide. You know, if they want to decide to do this or that, then people should manage themselves. They shouldn't be managed by all these laws. You know, I would. I think the word that comes up is man up. You know,
I
take
agree.
responsibility.
I
Take
agree.
responsibility and don't be so gullible.
Okay, that was a mouthful.
Yeah,
Okay, so the next one is entrepreneurship.
sure. I've only learned the other day that you also get entrepreneurship. You get entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship.
Intra, yeah.
Yeah. So entrepreneurship is where you have entrepreneurial qualities, but you practice it within a company. So
Yeah,
you
that's
work for
right.
someone. Where
Yeah.
entrepreneurship is you're on the street and you feel where the business is coming from.
Yeah. And I must tell you about the entrepreneur part for me is not all companies are open enough to allow that kind of thinking and
Yeah.
operating. Because most companies start from entrepreneurship, but then they go into this corporate rut, and then they don't allow the entrepreneur to work their juices there.
Yeah, I think it's someone with big plans and a
Vision,
huge open mind
vision,
to
yeah,
accommodate entrepreneurship within a corporate scenario.
yeah.
I worked in a corporate environment once, not for very long. It absolutely killed me, but there were a few ideas that not just me, but it's a few guys within the company. We proposed a new concept, a new thing. It was just the next wall after the other, closed doors. It's
Yeah, never
yeah,
accommodated or even feeling threatened by the big idea.
yeah, yeah. It's a
Okay,
pity.
yeah, it is a pity. So the next one is business ethics.
Um, I think that's something that needs to be inherent of yourself. It shouldn't necessarily be a rules that's written and shown on the wall for everybody to see. I think business ethics is something that you should bring to the table when you do business. And I think that is also, it's a man up thing. It's, be the change you want and be the good you need.
But unfortunately, I think the whole world is just currently working through a lot of corruption, and
Absolutely.
it's more prevalent every day. But fortunately for us, we know about it and we can see it and you can feel it. And people know.
I think change starts with yourself, so it's not, I know the solution, I know the change. If they can just start doing it, then that's wrong. You should start doing it.
I agree. Okay, and then globalization.
That's a big one. In what sense? Because globalization, you mean world population, one currency?
What's your main thing about globalization? What pops in your mind if you hear the term?
In terms of business, I think globalization is good, but I do think that some sort of, I don't know if that's the right word, individualism, should stay. With globalization, I think the uniqueness goes away. Culture and the different cultures will sort of dilute. But globalization in terms of economy, I don't think if that's a good thing. Globalization in terms of opportunity, yes. But I think identity shouldn't pay the price for globalization.
And unfortunately, it does.
Yeah.
Cultures, like you said, are diluted at this stage. Okay, my final one is South Africa.
Land of opportunity, but also land of uncertainty. And you know what? I have a Dutch passport. I can jump on the plane tomorrow and I can do business from Holland. Well, any place in Europe for that case. My children are also carrying Dutch passports. But I still choose to remain here. I think, South Africa, what is South Africa for me? It's a Bosveld braai.
Wow.
The smell of burning wood in a controlled environment.
Obviously.
It's absolutely wonderful. The sound of the bushveld in the back end. Just the other day, me and my wife and I, we sat on the stoep here, and we heard in Afrikaans nageltjie. I think it's the fairy neck nightjar in English. That's a bushveld sound, but we hear it here in Pretoria.
Wow.
It's, I can't think me staying in Europe or Australia or America and the bushveld sounds the absence of it will kill me.
You will always long for that. Anton, I want to say thank you for a very, very insightful and amazing interview. Thank you for sharing your business with us. Obviously, we will have all the links below the video, and hopefully we will touch base in the future and see where all the new exciting business are coming from and how your Cloudstream funnels are growing. Thank you so much for joining the Strategy Maker podcast.
Thank you, Johnny. It was just a pleasure having you.
Thank you.